He has a comprehensive presentation of what we're able to share with the community, and I'm going to turn it over to him at this time. Bob, thank you. You're muted, Bob.
Of course I am. Do you see the presentation on your screen now? Yes, great. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight.
Bob, hold on one second. Joe,
yes.
Can you hear us on the main microphone? I'm on my computer microphone. We can't hear anything on the main system. Joe, you're muted. We don't have any sound on our main system, Joe. Yeah, we see that. Yeah, it's on. It shows that you and Murray are on, but that's it.
Did the Board of Ed join this meeting?
Oh, so that's a good point. So that's the Board of Ed screen. So the Board of Ed computer, that one needs to switch over. So I can switch over on that one right here, it looks like. Oh. I'm doing it right now. I think we got it. Thanks, Joe. You're a big help. Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you, Mr. Malloy. Thank you, board. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here tonight. This is an important night for the district when we present our budget to the community in advance of the budget vote on June 9th. So tonight I wanted to share with you the 2020-2021 budget that the board has endorsed and review our plan for next year. But first I want to review the agenda for this meeting or for this presentation. I want to start by talking about the district's mission and its goals, some recent changes that we've made at Morrisville-Eaton, talk about how we're doing relative to some of our neighboring districts. Then we'll get down into the 2021 budget, which is broken down into 3 component parts. So we'll look at the 3-part budget, and then we'll look at revenues to support the budget. We'll talk about a contingency budget. We'll discuss what-if scenarios that Mr. Malloy alluded to. And finally, there's a bus purchase resolution that I would like to discuss before concluding the presentation. The district's budget is a reflection of its mission, of what it deems is important, as well as how it will achieve its goals. The Morrisville-Eaton mission is to provide a diverse and safe learning environment that enables students to realize their full potential and become successful, productive citizens. To support the mission, the district has also established 5 goals. The budget then is an attempt to bring to life the mission and these 5 goals. In the past few years, the district has taken great strides to add programs and services that support students. We've developed a relationship with Morrisville State College that allows high school students to earn college credits at MSC. We've added shared teaching positions in reading, math, music, and speech. We've added a part-time agricultural program in 2018-19 and expanded that to a full-time program in 2019-20. We've added pupil services staff to support students. We've added additional classroom support staff. We've brought back a special education program into our schools. We've worked with the Madison County Sheriff's Office to have 2 special patrol officers in our schools. We're working on implementing a one-to-one computing initiative to put a device in the hands of every student. And we've expanded equipment budgets, including replacing musical instruments and upgrading classroom furniture. The district and the community have also made a huge investment in our facilities. In 2016, the community supported a $9.2 million capital project. In 2018-19, Phase 1 of the project was completed, and Phase 2 was completed this year. We've also completed a $2.5 million energy performance contract to upgrade our facilities. And every year, we engage in the capital outlay project to address facility needs. The 2016 capital project was broken down into 2 phases, and in phase 1, we replaced every window in all of the buildings. We've upgraded the HVAC system, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system in the elementary school cafeteria, renovated the primary wing of the elementary school, repaved parking lots and sidewalks, and created new and improved athletic facilities. In phase 2, we redesigned spaces to facilitate STEM and STEAM learning and added another athletic facility. The energy performance contract replaced boilers at the middle high school, boilers that were approximately 50 years old. And we've upgraded all of the lighting in the district to LED. We should see significant savings from both of those. And we've done all of this while keeping the burden on the community low. Morrisville-Eaton has the second lowest tax rate of 21 area school districts. And of the average of those districts is 30% higher than the Morrisville-Eaton tax rate. We are also second lowest among the 9 component school districts in the Madison-Oneida BOCES. And the BOCES average is 25% higher than our tax rate. In the most recent fiscal accountability supplement, from the New York State Education Department, our total expenditures per pupil were below the state average and only slightly above that of similar districts. But if you look further, you look at general education, expenditures per pupil were well below the state average and were below that of similar districts, which are defined as high need resource capacity and rural. Really, where our total average per pupil costs go up is when we factor in special education costs as a result of an increase in the number of high-cost students that we've had. Looking forward now to the 2021 budget, as I said, it's broken down into 3 parts: an administrative component, the capital component, and a program budget. The administrative budget consists of centralized overhead costs, including staffing and school building office costs. The capital budget covers costs related to operations and maintenance of sites, capital projects, and debt service payments, whereas the program budget includes all programs and services with direct student benefits. And how does that budget break out? The program budget consists of 2 out of every $3 goes into the program budget to support students, learning, and activities. And the capital budget is the second largest component at 20%. Looking closer at the administrative budget, we see a breakdown of roughly 4 equal parts within the administrative budget. The district office central administration, comprised of the chief school administrator and business administration. School office supervision, which includes the principals as well as their support staff and supervision for pupils. Employee benefits, and the 4th part being the remaining items on the list. Our capital budget primarily consists of maintenance and operations in the plant, as well as the debt service costs. Combined, that's over $3 million of the $3.5 million. In program budgets, if you look at the regular school teaching and other education, parentheses, special education and vocational education, that's nearly half of the program budget, with employee benefits making up approximately a third of the program budget. Putting them all together and comparing them to the current year budget, we see an increase of about just under 500,000, or 2.9%. The administrative budget is actually lower than this year's budget, and the capital budget, the increase is due to an increase in our debt service schedule. In the bar graph on the bottom, you see the last several years of budget and actual, as well as the budget for 2019-20 and the proposed budget for 2021. Looking at the revenue side to support the budget, we see that 2 out of every $3 to support our budget comes in the form of state aids. Local sources make up about 30%. More specifically, property taxes, STAR, and pilot payments is just over $5 million, and state aids is just under $12 million of our $17.8 million budget. I want to turn next to the state aid portion. Within that state aid portion, the 2/3 of all revenues, almost 2/3 of that comes in the form of the state's basic aid program called foundation aid, which means that it's 43% of the total operating budget is funded through foundation aid. Because of a freeze to the foundation aid in the state budget, there's no change. This had a significant impact on us as we were preparing our budget. Within the remaining component parts of state aids, you see building aid, transportation aid, BOCES aid, and other state aids. These are all expense reimbursement aids, reimbursements based on this year's costs. And this year, we're projecting a slight decrease for next year compared to this year. Building aid is aided at 88.6%. Transportation costs are aided at 86.3%. And BOCES costs, aidable BOCES costs are aided at almost 73%. So what about property taxes? While local sources of revenues constitute 30% of the district revenues, property taxes make up 95% of that 30%. The proposed property tax levy reflects a $235,000 increase, or just under 5% increase over this year's levy. You see the bar graph representing the total levy in the blue bars, and the line graph representing the tax on true tax rate. But if the tax levy increase is just under 5%, how can it be? Isn't the tax cap set at 2%? Well, that's actually a misnomer. The 2% tax cap calculation, 2% is only one component line of the calculation itself. On your screen right now, you see a screenshot from the Office of the State Comptroller's web portal, where we report our tax cap calculation. And that's to show you, that we are compliant with the tax cap law. So how will this impact property tax owners or property owners? The tax levy is split between municipalities based on the percentage of taxable property in each township. For example, the town of Eaton, the value of property in the town of Eaton is roughly 60.6% of the total value of property in the district. Therefore, the property owners in the town of Eaton collectively will pay approximately 60.6% of the total tax levy. The tax levy is then split among property owners by assessed value, which is why the estimated tax rate varies by town, because the assessment ratios by town are done at different rates. The estimated change in the tax ratio also varies by town for the same reason. The average increase next year will be about 89 cents per $1,000 of value based on assessed value. I want to note that the estimated tax rate here is based on assessed value, which is different from the tax on true, which is based on the full value. So what does that look like for your average property owner who owns a house assessed at $100,000? The tax increase will be about $89 if approved. And the monthly impact of that is about under $7.50 a month. And yet, even with that increase, Morrisville-Eaton Central Schools remains the second lowest of the 9 component districts in terms of the proposed tax rate for 2020. The BOCES average is still nearly 22.25% higher than what our tax rate would be if approved. Other revenues we basically assumed will remain flat, and the district continues to budget for the use of fund balance to balance the budget in the amount of $150,000. This has been the past practice for several years. We've also used an estimated $325,000 surplus from this school year as a result of the school quote shutdown to fund operations for next year. If the budget is voted down by the community, the district will have to adopt a contingency budget unless the governor authorizes a revote later in June. What is a contingency budget? It's basically a budget freeze that allows for an increase in ordinary costs necessary to maintain operations. But it does not allow for an increase in the tax levy, the purchase of equipment, and it caps changes to the administrative budget. If the district had to adopt a contingency budget, these items would be delayed for at least a year because of the loss of $235,000 in revenues. It will impact special education. It will impact our special patrol officers in schools. It may delay our implementation of the one-to-one computing initiative. It will eliminate a capital maintenance project, which is aided at 88%. And it will require the district to charge facility users for identifiable costs, including utilities and custodial overtime. As Mr. Malloy noted, what if the state cuts actually in aids actually do go up to 20%? Morrisville-Eaton, as I noted, relies heavily on state aid. Nearly 7 of every $10 of revenue comes from Albany to fund our programs and services. We do know that the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has reduced state revenues, and the governor has said that schools must be prepared to face aid cuts of up to 20% as a result. Well, a 20% aid cut to Morrisville-Eaton represents $2.36 million, which is 13.6% of our budget. To balance such a cut would require cuts to programs and services to students, and that could include cutting student support programs like counseling or behavior specialists, eliminating or reducing academic intervention services, making class sizes bigger, reducing course options at the middle high school, eliminating the college option for high school students. We may even have to look at cutting sports and eliminating the pre-kindergarten and/or kindergarten program. All of these things are on the table if cuts this deep need to be made, and they are more likely to be made from a contingency budget than from the proposed budget. Finally, I'd like to talk about the bus purchase resolution. It's a separate question on the ballot. The district receives 86% of the cost of the bus purchases in the form of state aid. In 2018, the Board of Education endorsed a fleet replacement plan that would provide for a rotation of fleet to reduce repair costs, maximize trade-in values, and minimize the budgetary impact of the plan. And this is what the plan looks like. What does that mean for next year? It comes in the form of the resolution. Shall the Board of Education purchase, and at the option of the board, finance 3 student transportation vehicles at an estimated cost not to exceed $304,736,000. The question goes on from there. But really the question talks about the purchase price. It doesn't factor in the estimated trade-in value of $26,000 for the buses we'll be retiring, nor does it factor in the estimated state aid impact of nearly $260,000, resulting in a net cost for 3 buses of under $41,000, or a cost per bus of $13,642. At this time, I would be happy to entertain any questions. If there are no questions, I thank you for your time.
Bob, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I am. Now I can.
There, now I bet you can hear me.
Yep.
Okay,
All right, now we're good.
okay. So at this juncture, I realize there's not an agenda item of privilege of the floor. I am asking for a motion to add to the agenda a privilege of the floor, which is a public comment period, to take place right now. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Malloy will put a slide up that gives the contact information.
That I will do.
And for those on YouTube, we know there's an approximate 20 to 30 second delay. So we'll sit tight until we make sure that nobody's tried to call in.
Again, this looks like this window is not showing as an option. So the phone number to call in for privilege of the floor is 315-684-5919. If you'd like to take advantage of privilege of the floor, please call 315-684-5919. And if you'd like to take advantage of privilege of the floor, your answer will be answered in the order it was received. 315-684-5919.
It just went through on YouTube.
Thank you, Jody.
If anyone would like to take advantage of privilege of the floor, please call 315-684-5919, and your call will be answered in the order it was received.
Okay, since it appears that nobody would like to call in at this time, we'll proceed on with the original agenda. At this time, I'll read the qualification of voters. Basically, to be qualified to vote on the school budget, you need to be a citizen of the United States. You need to be a minimum of 18 years of age, and you need to have been a resident of the school district for at least 30 days prior to the vote. So now we're moving on to the school budget and propositions announcement. The annual school district vote and election will happen June 9th, 2020. Ballots must be received by 5 p.m. on June 9th, 2020. Please postmark your ballots so that they will arrive at the school by 5 p.m. on June 9th, 2020.
We have good evening, Morrisville-Eaton board meeting.
I did have one question.
Okay, but do I have a motion to pause for a second?
I make a motion that we pause.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll open the floor back up.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I just wondered why the buses were so crucial. I mean, are the buses not in good shape?
Bob, are you able to hear that question?
Yeah, the question was, why are the buses so crucial? It's really a multi-part answer to that. The first is the rotation plan that was established was designed to minimize maintenance costs. By the time we get to that seventh year of the larger buses or fifth year of the smaller buses, we start to incur, historically we start to incur more maintenance costs related to them. So we can maximize our trade-in value because the trade-in drops by half every year. The second is because our transportation aid ratio is so high that for every dollar that we spend on a bus, the state will reimburse us 86 cents. That means we're spending 14 cents, less than 14 cents per bus or per dollar on a bus. So that would, the combination of those allows it for, with this rotation plan, to have a steady budgetary impact. So we're replacing the same number of buses every year. The cost will fluctuate slightly, but we're able to recoup the vast majority of those costs in the form of state aid, and we're able to keep our maintenance costs down as a result. Does that answer your question?
I feel like you can put numbers out, but at the same time, I feel like the buses always lasted back in the day. I don't feel like you need to replace them as much as you can. I mean, I just don't feel like the numbers add up. I feel like the buses should last longer than I mean, you just got new buses like 10 years ago, and now, I mean, the buses that we rode, I mean, the buses used to last 20 years.
Okay, I appreciate your input. We've addressed your concern with the information we have, and everyone has been able to hear you voice your concern, and we appreciate it. But we do have to move on with the meeting at this time. But thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you too, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to announce that we are continuing on with our previous agenda. So the school budget and propositions. Proposition 1 is a budget vote, which is, shall the Board of Education of Morrisville-Eaton Central School District be authorized to spend the sum set forth in the proposed budget of 2020-2021 in the total amount of $17,806,978 and to levy the necessary tax therefore. Proposition 2 is transportation. Shall the Board of Education purchase and, at the option of the board, finance 3 student transportation vehicles at an estimated cost not to exceed $304,736, including necessary furnishings, fixtures, and equipment, and all other necessary costs incidental thereunto, and to expend a total sum not to exceed $304,736. Proposition 3 is the Morrisville Public Library proposition. Shall the Morrisville Public Library be given an increase in funding for library purposes in the amount of $6,845 for the year 2021. This will bring the total annual budget to the library of $142,598. I'd like to remind everybody that privilege of the floor is closed at this time. Also on the ballot will be candidates for the Board of Election, or candidates for the Board of Education. It'll be vote for 2, and the folks running are Murray Ames, Stephen Brodell, and Craig Brown. There's also a candidate for the Morrisville Public Library Trustee. Vote for 1, and the person running is Michelle St. Hilaire. Thank you. So at this time, I would like to introduce the candidates for the Board of Education. We'll be introducing them in alphabetical order. We'll give them a few moments to speak. And so first, I would like to introduce the senior member of our board, Mr. Murray Ames.
Hello, everyone. My name's Murray Ames, obviously, lifetime resident of the district. And I'm running for my 7th 3-year term on the board. I think that when you're part of a board, that's what you are. You're part of a board, and what you bring to the board is what's important. The things that I would bring to the board, I bring experience. I have 18 years on the school board. With town government, I have a total of 35 years of municipal administration, budgeting, financial. I'm a financial conservative. I can see Nikki smiling behind her mask because I think she thinks that's an understatement. I'm very supportive of new programs, but administration has to, you have to sell it to me. And I think that shows in our tax rate. I was looking back to the first year that I helped develop a budget, and the tax rate was within pennies of what it is today, and that's 18 years ago. I bring a lot of history to the district. My mother worked here for 30 or 25 years, my wife 35, and a lot of things that come up, I know the ins and the outs of, and we've been there, tried that, this works, this doesn't. I'm also probably the one holdout on technology. I support technology. I'm not a big fan of it myself. I don't tweet, I don't post, I don't read social media, and I have nothing against it. I just choose not to. I think what people need to forget or need to remember is, in a lot of times people think, well, we have to go with the new way. And that's true, but don't ever forget that just because it's the old way doesn't mean it's the wrong way. And I'm always reminded of the adage about the wheel. The wheel was invented 4,000 years ago. Since then, nobody's been able to really improve on it. I mean, we've put air in it, fancy writing on the sidewalls, but it's still a wheel. So I guess the way I put it to people is, the next time you drive to the Apple store to get your new iPhone, remember that you got there on 6,000-year-old technology. And the trick of being on the board is making the two differing views mesh. And that's, I think, something that I bring, So I would appreciate your vote. I will tell you that, tell the people that this board is more than qualified to come up with it or to address the challenges we're facing. And I'm very proud to be a part of this board, and I would love to continue to be with your support. So thank you very much. I can't hear the board now, Greg.
You gotta thank Murray. You gotta thank Murray again.
The hand.
You gotta thank Murray again, though.
Okay. Thank you, Murray.
Now?
You're welcome.
Yes, you're there. I
Okay.
can see you.
Hi, my name's Steve Brodell. I came to the board. Wow. 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. I started on it because my both my twin daughters started in school, and being a graduate from Morrisville, I realized that there was a lot of things that had gone by the wayside because of funding. And I thought that it was time for me to try to get some of the programs back. Since I've been on the board, we've been able to come up with very frugal ways to allow the most opportunities for our kids that we've had in a long time. With that being said, I hope to be able to continue on the board to continue allowing these programs to happen and hopefully come up with new programs. Being in the pandemic, so to speak, that we are in, and the budget crunches that we're in, my hope is to find ways to make our dollars stretch farther to not have to eliminate programs. And if you vote for me, I will do so in trying to continue that for my next 3 years.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Nikki.
Okay. And lastly, I would like to introduce Craig Brown. Craig, can you hear?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I have DSL, so if we cut out or my kids run in the room, that is, I apologize for those interruptions. I just wanted to start because I know the board had done so, and I appreciate that you did do so, in thanking the teachers, the administration, the Board of Education itself, the PTO, the parents, and the kids. I think it's been an incredible crisis, you know, this last few months, especially for our seniors' parents. And I really respect that our seniors and all of our kids have stepped up to the plate and really grown up. They've made us all proud, and I'm incredibly happy to be a part of our community. So who am I? I'm an alumni from the district as well, and I actually was a pain in the butt in school. I'm pretty sure the teachers in the district that know me are probably wondering what I am doing here now. But I can tell you that I was in the military. I've taken jobs working for Cornell University, working for Morrisville State College, and I'm really focused on our kids and our community. As of right now, I have one daughter who is in the pre-K program, which I love and I'm super thankful for, and I have another one starting next year. I work for Cornell Cooperative Extension in Madison County, and my focus every day is on positive youth development. I teach kids how to do things with STEM, how to do health and wellness activities. I work towards civic engagement and getting kids involved in their political processes, and I really try to make our youth community members by getting them engaged in community service and community givebacks. I graduated from Morrisville in 2005, and I, after returning back from my service, went right to SUNY Morrisville. At the time, it was Morrisville State College still. And then following Morrisville State College, went to Lemoyne, Japan, China, and finished a master's degree, which I now am currently in social enterprise administration in Columbia University in the city of New York. The most important thing about me, I think, though, is I'm kind of like my grandmother, Peg Brown. I don't know if anybody knew Peg Brown, where I tell people what I think, whether that is what they want to hear, even if they need to hear it. And I'd like to thank my father in the fact that he's made me dedicated and hardworking. My grandfather was on this Board of Education for many years, Edwin Brown, and I'm looking forward to hopefully following in his footsteps. My goal is to maintain as many youth programs as possible. I'm not shy about this. I think that kids need opportunities to develop life skills. I think kids need opportunities for workforce development, and they definitely need to prepare for the college experiences. I think that we can do that, as Steve had mentioned, by getting unique, focusing on local collaborations. I've been incredibly proud to see our Optimist Club locally. I love watching the board meetings and seeing all the unique ideas that you guys are coming up with. Even this is kind of something that people would have to look into, but even exploring solar panels at this point. And, I think that we still need to continue our support and move towards parent involvement. Our PTO, Megan Dooley, has been doing amazing And I'd like to see more people get involved with that as well. We still have to address things such as absenteeism. I heard that in the last board meeting, so I'm excited about that. And I really don't want our kids to lose the Morrisville Edge program. I mean, those credits are amazing. They need them. And Rebecca Rebella is rocking with the ag program. Again, I'm not naive. I know we're in a budget crisis. I know that we need to be careful with what we're spending. And I totally agree with Murray. Our district would not be where it is if we weren't being very cautious with our pennies. At the same time, now is the time to invest in our schools. If we were ever going to do so, now's the time. We are the second lowest. And at the same time, we're faced right now with, this potential to lose our kids' programs. Our kids are, they're our foundation. They're the ones that are going to come back like I did after all that experience and set their roots back in Morrisville. And I just like to see them have the opportunities to do so afterwards. So we have to invest in them. Do I think that, long-term tax increases are the solution? I don't. But I do see this as something that we need to invest in as a community together. Anyway, I talk forever. I'm so appreciative just to have the opportunity to speak, and I thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the budget vote announcement. The adjourned meeting will take place remotely, and qualified voters will vote in the adjourned election by absentee ballot only, to be provided by the district to all qualified voters. The voting upon the foregoing propositions will be by absentee ballot. The tallying of the vote will take place virtually on the 9th day of June 2020 at the Morrisville-Eaton Middle High School Library, Huron Road, Morrisville, New York, at 5:00 p.m. prevailing time. Absentee ballots will be sent tomorrow. If you are a qualified voter who is not registered to vote and who hasn't voted in the past couple of years, please contact the district clerk if you would like an absentee ballot. Please contact her during regular business hours. The district clerk may be reached via email. That'll be available online. In the subject line, please write absentee ballot. You may also call 315-684-9300 to request an absentee ballot. Messages should include the voter's name and mailing address. Absentee ballot instructions are detailed on the ballot and in page 2 of the newsletter. I didn't realize Jody was taking voicemail messages on this, so you apparently may call the district office at any time and leave a voicemail if you prefer. So that is the budget vote announcement. Next, I need to announce the time for the 2021 school district budget hearing and vote. The budget hearing will take place on Tuesday, May 11th in the year 2021, and the budget vote will take place on Tuesday, May 18th, 2021. Moving on to personnel. Can I please have a motion to accept the resignation for Tracy Durkee, principal, effective June 30, 2020, pursuant to a separation agreement?
So moved.
They weren't supposed to say that.
They weren't, were they?
Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes, we would like to wish Mrs. Durkee luck in her future endeavors. Moving on
Thank
to
you.
new business. Did I vote? We voted, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the plans of a commencement ceremony for the class of 2020 on June 5th, 2020 at 7 p.m. to take place in the stands of the middle high school stadium with guests located in pods in the stadium field. Rain dates and times for this ceremony are June 6, 2020 at 10 a.m. or 7 p.m. or June 7th, 2020 at 10 a.m. or 7 p.m. The superintendent is authorized to make adjustments to these plans to conform with any executive orders by the governor or new guidance and requirements from state or local agencies. Do I have a motion to approve this plan?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? I would just like to take a moment to thank Mr. Malloy and the graduation committee and the administration team and all the other folks for all the hard work they put into this plan. I can tell you it was very important to this board and to the administrative team that we hopefully can provide a chance for these kids to get together and celebrate their graduation from high school. We can't give them back their senior prom. We can't give them back the spring play. We can't give them, we can't give them back their spring sports seasons, but we felt it was very important to in some way give them a ceremony where they could attend in person. So do I have a vote on this, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I would like to note that as we've been speaking, we've heard the public comment phone ringing off the hook as we proceeded with the meeting. So I would like to add another privilege of the floor, another public comment period. We'll try to hang on a little bit longer, so if there are folks who would like to comment on the budget proposal or anything else, we'll give you a chance to talk again, even though it's not on the agenda.
You're gonna have a motion for that.
So can I please have a motion to add a second privilege of the floor item to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Nikki, usually in the past, we've asked the speakers to identify themselves and where they live.
Right. You're right. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Nope, no, that's fine.
Yep. So when you do call in, if you could please introduce yourself, we would appreciate it.
Good evening, Morrisville-Eaton board meeting.
Yeah, so I was wondering, related to the buses, I was wondering if we've considered consolidating the bus routes to minimize
All right.
travel and all that good stuff.
Before we get into answering that question, is this Sean Palmer?
Yeah.
All right. So we're just so your question, Sean, is have we considered consolidating the bus routes? Is that's your question, correct?
Correct.
All right. Bob, were you able to hear that question?
Yes, I was. And Mr. Dorshenko actually reviews bus routes every year. We've, especially in these budgetary times, have looked at whether or not we could eliminate a route this year. And just operationally, that wasn't feasible unless we're willing to have ride times exceed an hour, which is not something that we have done in the past. We have also examined consolidating from double runs. In other words, a middle high school run, and then the buses go back out and do a elementary run, and having all students picked up K-12 at the same time and then dropped at the same time. And just operationally, that doesn't work either. It would require a significant increase in the number of drivers needed to cover the same amount of territory with the same number of students in the same amount of time. And we are already facing a shortage of bus drivers, so we're not sure where we would get, finding an additional 5, 6, 7 drivers would come from, and it would actually require more buses than what we currently have.
All right, we've had a consultant that's done a study on this as well recently, have we not?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sean, we appreciate you calling in and inquiring about that. We do a study on everything that we have on all of our expenses, but the things of significant expense we certainly go into deep detail with as well. But we appreciate your call. We appreciate your question, and I hope we were able to answer that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other people that would like to take advantage of the privilege of the floor? Please call 315-684-5919. Your call will be answered in the order it was received.
I was going to, but can I interject some input on the buses? It's on the mechanical line.
Okay. But we'll interrupt you if a call comes in.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not sure who the gentleman was who called previously during privilege of the floor, but he was talking about our bus situation and how come we are upgrading our fleet at such a rate when years ago you had a bus that was 10 or 15 years old. The reason why we're doing it is because thanks to New York State, all bus systems now are running with what is called the DPF system, which is to help purify the exhaust coming out of the buses. One of those systems, if it is to go down, could cost upwards of $4,000 to $5,000 to be repaired. So the longer you move your bus out, the more likely you are to incur those expenses. And when you look at the underlying cost of a bus being around $13,000, your cost incurrence for a catastrophic failure on something like that would well outweigh the cost of upgrading your fleet on a new bus. So the reason why, as a board, we were looking at keeping the fleet updated is because we don't want to have to incur those costs. Unfortunately, buses aren't built the way they used to be built, where it was just a simple diesel engine. Now there's a lot of emissions involved with the engines, which can be very costly.
Back to my comment about the old ways, Steve.
Yeah.
I think we've given plenty of time for privilege of the floor.
Okay. So we're now closing the floor for comment. However, I would encourage any folks who were not able to get in on the phone line tonight. We have an administrative team who's very responsive to questions. So not to put Mr. Malloy or Mr. Avery on the spot, but if you have any questions, please feel free to contact them and they will try to answer them to the best of their ability. Do we have need for a second executive session, or are we all set?
No need for another executive session.
All right, so at this time, can I please get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi, Brian.
Craig, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Good night,
Bob.
everyone.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Hey, there's Eddie.
Hey,
Hey.
Hi, Jackie. Hi, Steve. Hi, Nikki. Greg.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Mary Ellen.
So are we off YouTube now? Jody, are we off YouTube?
Jody's still recording.
No, it's still on there. Oh, it says it's no longer live.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jody.
Bye, all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, Murray.